with your hosts, Tricky Nick, Alex, I Yield to No One, Sid, and Ender Phoenix.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Trophy Wars. This is episode 709. I'm your host, Tricky Nick. Alongside with me, the man, the myth, and the legend. It's Alex.
Man, March and 80 degrees here in Louisville. Kind of crazy, but I got out for a nice walk today and took the dog to the park. Hopefully, everyone out there has been enjoying the weather or has some nice weather to enjoy.
And he's the man who likes to set everything on fire. It's Matt.
Princess certainly has been enjoying the backyard and the nice weather, running around like a frickin' maniac.
Yeah, Matt, do you have any dog-related news you want to share?
Did I not share it last week?
Well, no, I was hoping that she was officially yours by now, but I could be wrong.
No, it's going to be a couple months before then. We won't be allowed to adopt her until she gets spayed, and that's probably about 2.5 months out. Evidently, vets now wait a couple months after their first cycle to ensure that they are officially out of heat. So that way they get all those nice hormones and everything else that happens during that time. So, it'll be a little bit before that happens, but we don't see her going anywhere. However, so dog-related news, she has now started her nighttime separation anxiety barking and whining when we put her in a crate. So evidently she likes us so much she doesn't want to be apart from us.
Can I gripe a little bit here? That, you just mentioned, like, you can't adopt her until she's spayed. When did this trend start of you can't adopt you can't have a pet, you can't adopt a pet unless they've been spayed or neutered? Like, maybe like the owner wants future puppies. Why is all the animals have to be spayed or neutered first?
So, well, I mean, animal populations are out of control. You've got dogs that are put and cats that are put down daily because there's not homes for them. This is me saying, please rescue pets. Do not get from breeders. Sorry, but it's the population, and we don't need to put down any more animals. Like shelters, oftentimes are overcrowded. We get notifications here in Louisville when our metro shelter is overcrowded, and if there's not homes for those pets, they die. So
I get all that, but I'm just saying, like, if Matt, I'm not assuming Matt would want to, but I'm just saying, if Matt wanted to adopt Princess and wanted future puppies, like, shouldn't Matt have that choice? That's my point.
Everything Alex said, but I will add this. Most animals, especially a lot of like purebred animals, come from people who are breeding them without any sort of license or certification or care that they actually are breeding for the health of the animal or the breed. As was the case with Zelda, the person who was breeding them wasn't doing any sort of checks for degenerative myelopathy, which is why Zelda ended up being paralyzed in the last half of her life. So what's happening is these rescues don't want the risk of dogs going out to people who, for all intents and purposes, can lie on their applications and do other things and then still use those animals for breeding. And to Alex's point, you don't need that many more animals out in the wild for people breeding them. If I wanted to, there's other avenues I can take if I truly want to go breed a dog, but I'm not going to. And there are people who will, because it's unfortunate that they go out there to do it for money and not for the health of the breed. So it sucks because it's a double-edged sword. You get people out there who go, I can get a home loan easier than it is to adopt a pet. Well, yeah, because unfortunately, these pets are being brought out of shitty situations, and the rescues don't want them to go into another shitty situation. I've had no less than 5 calls with the rescue just checking in, see how things are doing, because it's always the rule that if it doesn't work out, it goes back to them. I'm not going to give that dog to a shelter or somebody else. It has to go back to the rescue because they have the animal's best interest in mind.
I get all that, and I agree with you guys.
Here we go.
No. I'm saying I agree with everything you guys are saying. Like I'm not arguing that one bit, but it's basically not given in this situation. It's not giving Matt the benefit of the doubt that he is a good person and that he would look out for the health of the animal and all that stuff. It's like I just think if I'm adopting a pet, I should have the option whether or not my dog is fixed. But I get all your reasons and I don't argue with them. I'm in agreement with that.
You are arguing though.
Yeah, and we're also told in this country which books are banned or not. So
okay, we're not going down that.
Well, my point stands. If anyone has a problem with that, I don't give a shit. Personal experience. Our dog Athena, I adopted her from a pit bull rescue. She was 1 or 2 years old. She had already had a litter of puppies. They didn't know how many, and then she was just dumped on the street. So, unfortunately, the issue isn't with the rescues. The issue is with the people because people are shitty.
I get that because
the rescues have to do what they can to protect the animals, which is if the best interest of the animals is what it needs to be in, and not sorry if people are mad they don't have a choice to breed an animal. Fuck off.
No, I'm just saying like when I got Bella, she was fixed. Which, it is what it is. I mean, Bella at that point was 5 years old when I got her, even though I was told she was 2 when I got her. It struck me at that point as like, I think I should have had the choice whether or not to fix my animal, rather than somebody tell me, oh, you can't adopt this dog or this cat until they're fixed. It's just a personal thing. I'm not arguing with you guys.
Go buy a pup. If that's truly what you want, and this is not directed to you, but this is directed to anybody with that thought process, go buy it. Which at that point, fuck off, because there's, as Alex said, there's plenty of animals out there, and this isn't about what my preference is as far as what I want to do with the dog in the long term. It's about rescuing an animal and making sure that you're providing the best home for them. And in many cases, that means that they don't get to reproduce, which is fine because they're happy and healthy under a roof.
Okay.
Tricky, let me ask you a question. Was Bella a rescue?
Yes and no. She was the dog of Mario Cantone. Do you know who that is? He was on Sex and the City.
Okay, well, Sex and the City actor.
Yeah. And he was filming a movie and could not take care of her, so he gave the dog to a friend, and the friend decided wasn't going to take care of her anymore and gave her to the rescue that I wound up getting her from.
So she was a rescue. So Bella was going to be at the rescue if you had not taken her. Think if you had bred animals and you had puppies, there's not a home for Bella then.
No,
you have other dogs to take.
Like I said, I'm not arguing with your points. I'm just I just have a sticking point of like the phrase Matt said. They're not going to let me adopt Princess until she's been spayed. That statement right there is what bothers me because me personally, I think if Matt is providing a good home for Princess and Matt is a good person, which we all know he is, Matt should have the choice whether or not to spay Princess or not. Not somebody say, you can't have this dog until it's spayed. I just think it's wrong to take that out of the owner's hands.
Well, unfortunately, human being shittiness has kind of removed the choice for a lot of people. And that's in a lot of areas of life is shitty people ruin things for everybody. But I have a friend who's going to spay her dog soon, and it's an older dog. And I think that there can be health complications. Like the vet suggested it at this age because there can be health complications if they're not spayed or something like that. I don't know. It's an older dog, and the vet themselves specifically suggested spaying. So, but yeah, the issue is not with the rescues, it's with people. If people were better, we wouldn't have these issues. There weren't puppy mills. If people didn't abuse animals, we didn't have these issues. But if it comes down to the rescues doing what they think is the best thing for the animals, I'm all for that. I don't give a shit about people that much.
Again, I'm not I'm not mad at the rescue or anything like that. They got to do the best health for the dog, best welfare for the dog. Absolutely, I agree with that. I just don't. If the dog's not already fixed and somebody's willing to adopt it, I think those kind of choices should be made by the person rescuing the dog, not the rescue itself. But again, all your points are very valid, and I don't argue with them. I just think it's shitty that we live in that kind of society where the rescue has to say something like that to prevent, things. Anyway, we're not on dog rescues. We're on PlayStation games. Let's do our updated trophy count. I am level 982, total trophies of 35,530 with 1,032 platinums. Alex?
Yeah, sorry, I got so worked up. I forgot to pull up my trophy count, but here we go. Come on, buddy. Level 533, total trophy count of 11,222, and a platinum count of 208 in 207 games. These are updated, aren't they?
Yes, they are. Yield is level 543, total trophies of 11,869 with 228 platinums. Matt?
69. Level 223.
I knew somebody was going to do that.
Hey, if the kids can get away with 6-7, I can get away with 69. Level 223 with 1,381 trophies and 0 platinums.
And Sid is level 902 with 28,162 trophies and 869 platinums. Go ahead, Matt. No?
What?
I figured you were going to do 69 again.
Who would do a joke like that?
Oh, my God. You're so bad. No, you just took me off a game. We don't have a Sophie trophies this week. I wasn't able to get a hold of Sid, so I don't know if he actually recorded one. So if we have one, it's going to go in now. If not, hey, we're going on the show. We do have a rarity update. We will be patching that in with Yield right now. All right. Thank you, Yield. Now let's get into what we're playing. Alex, we'll start with you, sir. What have you been playing?
So, if you couldn't tell, I got another platinum trophy, and that platinum trophy was in Ghost of Yotei. Actually got it last week, the same night we were recording, so it didn't take me much longer to get my platinum trophy. Been mostly dabbling in the Legends co-op multiplayer stuff, and I gotta say overall, I mean, Legends is fun. They haven't opened the raid option yet. They say that's coming soon. It's still locked, but they do have survival, which is, you fighting against waves of enemies and protecting specific points on a map. There's also the story modes where you go through 4 separate stories, 3 acts to each story, and then at the end of the 3 acts, you go into an incursion mode, which is basically you and up to 4 other players going up against to the hideout of the boss and fighting the boss. Which I gotta say, I mean, the bosses are basically the Oni, the Kitsune, the snake, and the spider from the story of Ghost of Yotei, except instead of humans in mass this time, it is basically enlarged demons, like more demonic forms, which are really cool. I like the designs of those, and just kind of being able to come up against a giant boss, co-oping with some of your peeps, your friends, whether they be friends or randomers online. It is fun. However, without the raid content, there is seemingly kind of a dearth of content, because once you do the story stuff, then it's basically you're just replaying the story missions, and then you're doing the survival. So, I mean, it does get a little old after a bit. Now, the raid content, it's going to, be a struggle. The raids in the first game were a little bit more difficult, so you're going to have to put in some serious effort to get through those. But perhaps maybe the most annoying thing is that one of the trophies is tied to getting to level 25 with each class. There are 4 classes, and I can understand, having someone maximize their effort with one class to get better so you can do the survival on the higher difficulties so you can get to the raids. But having, to have to upgrade every single class up to 25, which just essentially has you grinding through levels and difficulties you've already played, it feels like a bit of fattening the content, unnecessarily fluffing everything without much substance behind it. So, I mean, really that only trophy is my only kind of thing I'll say as far as a negative. But I thought they could have gotten more creative with the trophies, except, they pretty much just copied and pasted them for the last Legends mode for Ghost of Tsushima. But overall, I mean, the mode itself, even for a single-player game where single player is the main content, the co-op is fun. it's just kind of at some point, you know, after you've beaten all the stories and you've played survival and you've kind of conquered survival on gold and higher, it just kind of feels like the content's a little there. It feels like it's a little shallow without the raid stuff in there yet. But you know, once the raid comes, that'll add another aspect to it. And finally, I beat the story. I will say, overall, I enjoyed Ghost of Yotei. I think the story towards the end, I don't agree with a couple of the decisions they made. And I don't want to get into too spoilery stuff because obviously there's still some people who probably haven't played the game. But there's a wolf, and I will spoil this. I was concerned about the wolf dying. The wolf didn't die because they obviously killed your horse in the first game. They don't do that in the second game. So I'll give you those spoilers. If you're worried about the horse and the wolf, they survived. But there was certain like a kind of a metaphor they could have done with the wolf at the end. And I don't know if you all remember the ending, but there was a metaphor because Asu is one of the twin wolves. That's what her and her brother were referred to as, and they could have done seemingly more with the wolf in the story at the end. I kind of wasn't happy with that, how that ended, other than the wolf didn't survive everything. And then they do a trope where it's like they take something away, then they give it back, and then they take it away again. And I'm not. You guys may know what I'm talking about, but I'm not keen on that. When storytellers do that, it feels cheap. But overall, I mean, the game was fun. I caught my second win there towards the end as I got all the extra stuff done. And combat's good. I did like the story, but I thought they kind of stumbled through it at the end. So, but overall, those are my only negative points of Legends and Ghost of Yotei overall. I don't know if you guys agree with that. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying, but.
So I'll jump in because I did also play and beat Ghost of Yotei this weekend, quite literally last night. So I'm still on the high of finishing the game. I'm glad they did what they did with the wolf, because yes, I would have rioted if they took another thing away. I think, and I put this on my Channel 3 review, I liked Tsushima's story overall more. I think Yotei's story was fine in the grand scheme of things, but I kind of like the open-endedness of what happened in Tsushima more, where it allowed the player to make like that choice at the end. Here, they didn't give you kind of that same thing. It just, whatever happened. So as I look at the game and I go, obviously I still played it. I think I had 56 hours total in the game. And I don't know if I would have done anything differently, except that one big thing that they did at the end there, right during the final fight. I was like, well, okay. It just seems forced in that aspect of what they did, like, could have happened at any point in the game. It didn't have to happen at like that final moment. So that's all I'll say about that.
Yeah, I think that Ghost of Tsushima ended on a stronger note than Yotei did. I understand why they did what they did with Yotei, but I think Ghost of Tsushima and that final battle they had in that climactic battle, there was that emotional punch felt more real than the one we got in Yotei. It was just it was more annoying in Yotei than in Tsushima. Tsushima like really made you think and go, oh damn. Whereas the one in Yotei was like, oh, really? So I think with a stronger ending, Ghost of Yotei could have been viewed a little bit more with more strength as compared to Tsushima. But I did love like I said, the whole revenge thing and going after the 6 members. I love that aspect of the story. But again, the ending was a little bit more flat than the ending to Yotei.
I will say this, obviously, Tricky, you got the platinum in the game, right?
Yes.
Okay. So without going into too many spoilers, I think somebody had talked about it last week, was the Black Fox Den at the end.
Alex talked about that, yes.
Yeah. I still got, because I got the platinum trophy, obviously, I didn't get locked out of anything, but...
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really enjoyed what they did there. Yeah, was a little cliche, but I enjoyed that portion.
Last comment I'll make, and then we can let Tricky say anything if he has to say anything about Ghost of Yotei, is I think now after the ending, after how they handled the transition from 1 to 2, or Tsushima to Yotei, and then what we saw with the characters' decisions at the end of this story, basically what they're going to do is if they make another Ghost game, it's going to be another character in another location. They're not going to continue the story of these other characters. You know, we went from Jin to Atsu, so I think we can assume if there's a third game, it'll be another protagonist as well. Tricky, do you have any thoughts on what we were talking about, or your own personal experiences from the game?
No, I'm good. I mean, you guys pretty much said everything that needs to be said, and I've said all my piece with the when I played it originally, so I'm good.
All right, but yeah, another platinum down, just doing Legends, and then I'll do my New Game Plus run after that. Tricky, you did the New Game Plus, correct?
Yes.
How do they handle that? Like, what carries over to your New Game Plus?
Everything.
As far as like upgrades and stuff.
Everything. And now
Okay, so I'm still as strong and have all the abilities as when I
yes,
left Yotei?
yes, and you'll actually be able to upgrade stuff even further.
Well, that's good to hear. By now, like I said, like going back to as far as like Resident Evil 5, like New Game Plus is one of those things that was done really well in Resident Evil 5. But you got to think by now, it's so hard to fuck up New Game Plus because it's such the model for it's out there, and you have to nail it. Otherwise, it's basically like a layup in basketball. It's March Madness. We got the tournament going on, and it's just a layup to get New Game Plus right. So I'm glad that they did. I don't think I saw on the original trophy guide for Power Picks or Power PYX that there wasn't a New Game Plus, and maybe that was added in with the patch to do new game with the new trophies.
I believe so.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna do the Legend stuff, and then I'll run through New Game Plus, and hopefully I'll be done. Well, we got a month until Soros comes out, so got plenty of time in between.
All right.
But yeah, that's me.
Matt, what have you been playing, sir?
So I'll jump back onto the Yotei thing for one final point. I will say I had to record the gameplay during the fight with the spider when you first find him after he's setting off fireworks and has everything and you get a certain ability. It was a flawless fight. I did not take a single point of damage during that entire fight, and I just chained it throughout the entire fight. It was ridiculous. I'll upload it.
Oh hell yeah! Because I couldn't do that, so I'd like to see the skill, Matt.
It was insane how I just kept going through, renewing it, getting to the next level, and then just took on the spider. It was ridiculous. I'm surprised I went through it, but yes, I was very happy with that. I did not get all of the shrines to upgrade everything that I had like I did in Tsushima, but the things that I left out were like the horse skills, and I think, oh man, well, I got all the weapon upgrades. I think I got all the Onryo upgrades. I can't remember. There was a certain set of skills I just decided to not go for because I just wanted to get through the game because I have a ton of other games that I've been playing. And by a ton, meaning a lot of very few games.
Well, the good thing is you can buy, if you want to find the altars, you can buy maps from the cartographer in each town to find stuff.
Yeah, and I ran out of money buying some of those maps, so I got the upgrades I wanted.
The other nice thing that they do with that, I will say, is if you have upgraded all your abilities, because it got to a point where I found a shrine and I had all my abilities upgraded, and I had to just progress in the story to unlock more. It banks that point. So if you go to an altar and you can't spend that point, it banks it for the next time you're at an altar, so that you can upgrade abilities. You don't lose any if you're topped out when you go to an altar. So hopefully that puts people at ease. Or if somebody else had that question like I did, hopefully that helps. Matt, since you brought up the spider, what was your favorite boss fight from the game? Which one of the Yotei 6?
I'm gonna have to go with Saito. It was the most challenging outside of Takizo, who I still haven't beaten because fuck that guy.
You want to know how I beat that?
How?
I turned it difficulty down because I tried and I couldn't do it. I turned difficulty down to like the story mode, and I was like, "Fuck this! I can't do this. I can't deal with this."
It's rough. Part of me thinks I know you have to have the charms equipped to get them out.
But you can change the charms to whatever you want.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I think I need to try changing the charms. But to answer your question, it was definitely Saito because it kind of clicked for me during my one fight with the spider, which I realized I was spamming too much. I was trying to rush through the fights and trying to finish them. I wasn't looking for cues. I wasn't countering at the right time. Did it make the fights go longer? Yes, but me dying over and over because I was just trying to spam heavy attacks wasn't helping either. So I learned a lot. And I played it on, what is it, medium, normal difficulty, whatever the default is. And it was really learning Saito's patterns and just being methodical with it. Like sometimes it was cheesy as hell when he would just offload the pistol the second he got a shot off. I was like, all right, so I'd shoot him with the pistol, hit him once, and now they start deflecting everything else I throw at him. So I used all of my consumables. I threw everything I had at him. I didn't figure out why he kept getting resolve. I didn't know if that played into some of his abilities that he got. So I tried to just ignore it and go at the fight the best I could. But, I expected what came there at the end. I won't go into spoilers on it, but to me, it was a decent boss fight because everything else, even the Oni or the Kitsune, the snake at the beginning of the game, it was just kind of, brute forced my way through them. I didn't really learn anything from them. The spider was the first one who taught me to kind of like be patient and take my shots. So
one of the really cool things about the Saito fight is like, there's two phases. The first phase, he fights you with every other weapon besides his katana. He doesn't draw his katana. And once you get through that first phase, it's like, he's like, you've now earned that right. Because I think Atsu makes the call, like, draw your katana, and he won't do it until you get to that first phase. So the final phase is his katana, and it's like you have to earn the right to fight him with the katana, and I think that's a really small touch, but I think it's a really good one. Personally, I enjoyed the Kitsune because of the setting. Just visually, it's a very like stunning setting, but also the beginning of the fight where it's more theatrics to it. He's more of a trickster, and trickster fox, and then also there's a bit of a team element when you're fighting you're fighting with someone for the second round. But I think maybe my favorite one was the dragon, because you fight the dragon and the spider together. You kind of go head on with the dragon, and the spider's kind of in the background shooting at you. So that whole tag team element makes it feel different. So I'd have to go with the dragon first, but the Kitsune is a pretty good one. Tricky, did you have a favorite, or has it been too long?
It's been too long for me to remember them.
I will say this about the dragon and spider fight was, honestly, I actually didn't expect it to go down that way. I know other smarter people than me would have been like, oh yeah, I could have seen that. They're brothers. Why not? But the hand motions like the dragon would make were like an excellent cue to be like, okay, no, I know a shot's coming. So it was entertaining, but I liked the flexibility of the Saito fight, giving me the ability to kind of use all I've learned throughout the game.
Which was the fight where your niece gets traumatized?
That was the one spider fight.
That's this.
No, isn't that the one where
you're in the courtyard
fight,
and
or are you at the there's a ceremony for the Night of the Burning Tree, and that's where you catch up to one of the
brothers.
Yeah, that was the first spider fight.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Because that's where you. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's where you first meet up with the spider, and you basically maul an entire group of people. And,
right. Yeah. That. Okay. So if I'm gonna pick one, that one just stood out to me. So I'll pick that one as my favorite fight.
And
I believe that's where you get the ghost ability.
God damn it! I was trying to not tell everybody.
Yeah.
Dude, it was in the first game. It's called Ghost of Yotei. You get the ghost.
Yeah, I know. I didn't know it was coming. I didn't know you'd get that. So I was trying to give others. Yes. So in that fight is where I earned the ghost ability, and I just decimated the entire lot of them.
So did I.
A single hit. And I just, like, after I was done, I quickly recorded the video. I was like, yeah, I'm keeping that one.
All right. What else you been playing, Matt?
So, as I mentioned, I got a couple other things that I was doing this week, including I ended up getting my hands on a copy of Pokemon Pokopia very early on in that game, just building out the town, earning the basic abilities to start doing everything. Not much to go into on that. Then I also played more Monster Hunter Stories 3. I got past the first chapter of the game, basically, and I'm now out exploring the larger world. So I am now getting access to more monsties, trying to figure out the best combos. I now have the ability to... it's called channeling, where you get to take abilities and traits from one monster and put them into another one, so you can start really customizing your play style. And not much more of that. I played more Slay the Spire 2. I haven't gone back to Mugenics yet. I do need to do that. I do see Dex in the chat. Hey, Dex. But now the other thing I started playing was Crimson Desert. And there's a whole lot of stories we got on Crimson Desert this week. And I will say this. I am in the first chapter of the game. I probably have about 10 hours in, maybe. I will say I have gripes with the controls. The controls definitely need to get adjusted. And there's actually a story we have in the news a little bit later for that. The game is beautiful. It is absolutely gorgeous as far as what Pearl Abyss has done. I will say, if I'm comparing games, I think Yotei is more beautiful. But for what Pearl Abyss did with an open world, vast, like the map is massive compared to Yotei. Some of the missions are interesting. I've just been doing a lot of bounty hunting. So in the game, you can walk by, lights, fences, things, and there's just a bounty poster. You pick up the poster and it's like, hey, there's this person. They did this. Go catch them. If you catch them alive, you get the full bounty. If you kill them, it's the half bounty. And it's not a difficult thing. Like, you go to the area that it points to you on the map, and you just have to find the person that is in the bounty poster. Then you have to tie them up after you subdue them, then put them on the back of your horse or carry them on your horse, and then go to like your local constable and turn them in. The money and the currency was kind of confusing to me, because there's actually two currencies in the game, at least what I've seen thus far. You get your traditional copper, silver, and then you get like, I don't know, it's like called favors or something to that degree, where you can spend them at a specific store. But you have to do like good deeds, and people will give them to you for certain things. Otherwise, you're just using currency. The inventory system hasn't been too much of a problem. And, I'm just selling stuff as I can come along with it. I have been earning some extra inventory spots. So there's a long way to go for me to really get into the meat of the game. But I'm having fun. The combat is fluid. I'm starting to put checkpoints into other skills and increase my abilities. It's a wild game. You'd think for something like, you look at Skyrim and go, okay, magic swords, bows and arrows, things like that. This game's got everything, man. I'm finding gunpowder. They're talking about, firearms. There's mechs in the game. There's like magical grenades. I've got like a arm whip ability. It's crazy, everything they could do. So we'll talk more about it in the news section, but I've been having a fun time with it, and I will definitely continue playing it for the foreseeable future. And that's all I've done this week, Tricky.
And I've played a little bit of Crimson Desert myself. Haven't got real too far into it. I've been mostly playing The Division, and got my 2 spam games for my platinums, although apparently I was too late for this week's score, so boo on that. I think that's all I've played this week. I only had, it's The Division's getting ready to launch their new start year 8 in the next week or 2, I think. And there's a lot of updates coming with it. So apparently they're introducing, trying to remember what they call it. It's not classified gear, but basically the same thing as classified gear from the first one. So basically all your gear is going to be able to level up. So there's going to be a lot of grinding for it. So gives me more reason to go back and play that game. I just wish they would add more trophies to it. Trying to get more into Crimson Desert. Just don't have the time to really dedicate to it right now. It's currently on pause to my left right now, just waiting for me to get done with the show so I can play some more. And that's it for me. I can't think of anything else I played. Didn't play Ark. Didn't play. Yeah, I don't think I played anything else. I'm looking right now. Oh, I played. I started playing Assassin's Creed Syndicate. Started playing that again. Started from the
I was gonna
beginning.
say, it says you on my PS5 timeline that you played it for the first time, but I know you played Syndicate before.
It's my favorite Assassin's Creed game of all time.
Let me ask you, one of the criticisms of that game, and it wasn't something I really thought about while I was playing, but the width of the streets. And people complain about how it's harder to move across like rooftops from building to building because of that. Do you have any issues with that?
I haven't gotten that far into it to experience it this time. I don't remember that being an issue from the first time. I do vaguely remember there was a, if I'm thinking it's the right game, there was Stagecoach.
That's Syndicate.
Is it Syndicate? Yeah. Okay. So I remember having a major issue with turning with those. So that might be a street issue with them being too narrow. But yeah, that's it.
No, they're not. People are not saying they're too narrow, saying they're too wide.
Ooh, I don't know then.
Because if they were narrow, you could just jump from building to building all nimbly bimbly without any issue.
Well, I'm gonna play some more of it. So obviously I'll let you know because I'm gonna go get the platinum for it. I sitting there thinking like it's my favorite game and I don't have the platinum for it. But I think I'm only like 4 trophies away from it. So I'm not.
Are you gonna get the Jack the Ripper DLC to go for the 100%?
I already have the DLC, just never played it. Apparently I have all the DLC for it apparently. So yeah, that's it. That's all I've been playing. So Matt, at this time, I'm going to throw it over to you for our news.
All right. So there's been a big controversy in the tech world this past week. So Nvidia came out with their demo of DLSS 5, which DLSS, for those of you who are not in the PC world, is NVIDIA's deep learning super sampling. It's basically an AI-powered system that boosts gaming performance and visual quality on RTX GPUs. And what it does is it upscales a lower resolution image in real time to a larger image. So it's less work on the GPU to render like a 720p scene and upscale it to 1080p or 2K. So they each version since the RTX series came in the 3000 series has had their own version, and DLSS, 3.0 was good on the 3000 series, 4.0 was on the 4000 and 5000 series, and now they're coming out with the DLSS 5. And I will say, basically, their initial, their demo they used on Resident Evil Requiem, when they showed you pictures of Grace with DLSS 5 off and then DLSS 5 on, and they are vastly different pictures. And for those of you who have seen it, you know what I'm talking about, but it's insane the way that they're making it look. And again, this is early, so this is not yet official, but basically they're looking and making sure that the AI can add the photoreal lighting and materials in supported games. And again, they're leaving it up to the devs. However, this is also feeding the AI boom that a lot of gamers are being pissed off. And what happens is, now it's also using AI frame generation and things like that, where the graphics cards are rendering one frame and then using AI power to generate an extra 1, 2, 3, or even 4 frames additionally, which us gamers have dubbed fake frames, because your graphics card really isn't even rendering those. It's just AI going, well, we think this is what the next frame will look like. Well, you think, why is that a bad thing? Unfortunately, though this helps increase FPS and take some of the stress off the card, it's not as good as a real frame being rendered, because sometimes there's artifacting, sometimes there's ghosting, because it's moving so fast the card can't keep up. So even though it helps, it's still, not everybody likes it, and sometimes it's a problem. I saw this personally. The worst case was in Cyberpunk 2077. I'd be driving the car and there's like two versions of the car on the track in front of me. I see the car and then I see a ghost image behind it. So, there's some reviewers that came out and they were talking about it, how it is a good technology. And then other people were saying, this is just more AI bullshit. And, even reached out and, the Nvidia CEO, Jensen Huang, has been deflecting criticisms because of it. People are saying that because it's AI, it's going the wrong direction. It's taking us in the wrong direction. A lot of people have complained that DLSS and frame generation has led to lazy developers not optimizing games. And, even Monster Hunter Wild saw this, where the performance was not good unless you turned this system on. So I don't think this is going anywhere anytime soon. And the Nvidia and as well as AMD and their FSR technology are just going to keep going down this path. It's not going away. Even PlayStation does this with their variable refresh rate and some of their, I think they even dubbed their own specific super sampling technology to upscale the resolution. So, I'll ask you guys, what do you think about this use of AI models to improve performance at the cost of maybe some graphics here or there, or overall? Do you think it leads to lazy devs? What are your thoughts, Tricky?
I'm going to get so much hate for this. I could care less. If people are going to use, everybody, there's a revolt against AI. I don't have that same revolt. Like, if AI can legitimately help people get the job done, then I don't see the problem with it. My problem with AI only consists of when you're using it to replace other workers. Then I have a problem with it, because then it's like you're taking people out of the job. But if you're going to use AI to make something easier to get done or make the process faster, I don't have a problem with it. There was a couple shirts that we sell for Proven Gamer that was AI generated. And because every time I went to a graphic artist to try to find it, nobody could do what I wanted them to do or needed them to do. So I turned to AI and got it done within 5 minutes. And it saved me some money. So I don't have the hatred for AI as a lot of people do. I see people's complaints. I see their concerns. But if it helps get the job done faster and easier, I don't have a problem with it.
I think that the issue is that people see not only the aspect of like taking away people's jobs, but the fact that it could be seen as like a crutch. Like, Matt, do you think that this part of the concern is people think that maybe the development team can kind of be, I don't want to say sloppy, but not so thorough with the job they do, and then just rely on the AI as a cover, as like a fix for what they don't do?
That's exactly what is being said out there, is that developers are not optimizing games, that games are launching. And this has been the issue since games were developed, when the internet is around, is that games aren't being perfected the way they once were. And we know games never were always perfected, but there were some that were done with high levels of polish to ensure that gamers bought a game in a complete state. So now what's happening is they think, A, developers are being lazy, and B, publishers are now eliminating jobs and saying, well, AI can do some of that stuff. We can leverage it to make some money back on the development fees. So that's really, yeah, Alex, it is absolutely people saying that developers and publishers are being lazy or greedy by implementing AI as opposed to hiring people to do it.
Well, look at it this way, Tricky. Maybe, do you have an issue if a company they rush a game out the door, they release it in a sloppy state, but then they release a patch later to make up for that, to make the game better. Do you have an issue with that?
That to me is a little hard to answer, because if you have to release a patch after the game launches, then you should have took the time and done it right the first time. So if you're using AI simply just to get it out the door, I don't agree with that. But if AI can do the job faster and do it right, that's where I don't have the problem. If you're having to release a patch after the game came out to fix a problem, then you shouldn't have used AI in the first place.
Well, here's the thing, like, think about it. If you get to the point where it's like, oh, we can save this amount of money and get the project out faster with AI, so we cut 5 people from our team. And then we get to the conversation then of, but you know what could go even faster and even cheaper? If we cut 5 more developers and use AI for the rest. So you constantly have this train rolling where it's like, well, we did better with the AI. Let's just use more AI and cut more developers. Like, you see how that can be a slippery slope?
Absolutely. But listen, I'm never going to be in favor of people losing their jobs. I that sucks. I don't want anybody to ever lose their jobs. But again, I know this is a what's the right word? I know this is a bad example, but look at GTA 6. How long it's taken to get that game out the door. Now, we know Rockstar is going to nail it apart, because every one of their games comes out and it's always phenomenal. And if they're delaying the game for polish and all that stuff, that's fine. But if AI could have gotten GTA 6 out the door faster and done it right, isn't that worth maybe 1 or 2 people losing their jobs? And
No, because
here's the
that's
thing,
a failure to plan.
But also, Tricky, you're not going to pay any less. They're still going to charge you the same amount for that game, whether they save money or not.
Absolutely. I'm not.
So it benefits you in no way at all, other than you get maybe the game faster.
Okay. Dex is in the chat saying, "Oh no, Tricky." I am not in any way, shape, or form. I want to be clear. I'm not advocating for anybody to lose their jobs.
I'm here first. Tricky is for puppy mills and for people to lose their jobs.
I'm just simply saying that if you can use a technology, and not necessarily AI, if you can use some kind of technology to get the job done faster and correct, I'm all for that.
So
go ahead.
Here's where I'll actually agree with you to a point. Think of how the Industrial Revolution and everything else that went on that perfected the assembly line, the machining. Obviously, blacksmiths don't. Blacksmiths mass producing stuff don't certainly just do it hammer and anvil alone. They use automatic anvils and things like that. Technologies are good when they can augment a certain individual doing a task. Now, the problem with AI is, in many cases, yes, it can be used to augment an individual doing a task. I literally just used it to do research the other day when I asked ChatGPT a thing about OSHA's ruling. However, if it's being used to completely replace an individual, and at that point, we talked about this a couple weeks ago, where it's stealing art or stealing others' works, because that's all this AI is doing. It's literally just going, okay, what's the most common aspect of all these? I'm going to pump out an answer for that. I think that's the reason why people are railing against AI so much, because it's not just replacing jobs, it's replacing jobs and stealing other people's works and passing it off as my own.
And I don't agree with that either. That's shitty that AI is stealing other people's work. And hold on, Dex is in the chat says, those 2 or 3 people who lose their jobs due to AI still potentially have mouths to feed and bills to pay. Absolutely. I'm again, I want to be clear. I'm not advocating for people to lose their jobs. But as we progress as a society, and as we move forward and invent new technology and stuff like that, the unfortunate reality is people are going to lose their jobs because they're not going to be needed anymore. You know, like before Matt said his thing, the example that popped in my head is like the people that used to sew stuff. You know, it used to take them, I don't know, let's say 5 hours to sew a dress together. Where now, if they use a sewing machine, they can get that job done in, half the time or a quarter of the time. With every new invention, people are going to lose their jobs. It's just an unfortunate reality. When I was saying that if Rockstar used AI to get GTA 6 out and it costs 2 or 3 people, and obviously it's going to be more than 2 or 3 people. Let's just be real here. I'm just saying if they can use technology to produce things faster, and not that I'd be crazy to say, but maybe now we get GTA 7 faster. Is that not worth those 2 or 3 people losing their jobs so we can get things faster and be able to play things faster and do stuff like that? I'm not saying I want them to lose their job. I'm just saying, is it not that bad of a trade-off?
So in these situations, I don't know if we want to use 1 or 2 people. I don't know what those people have going on. I don't know if they have a sick parent to take care of. I don't know if they have pets to feed, kids, a sick partner. So to me, the answer is no, because simply asking someone to wait a little longer to play a game is not bad at all. If you can't wait to play a game, I mean, Ghost of Yotei is a game that I enjoy, but I waited about 5 to 6 months to play it, and I could have waited a little longer, honestly, if I wanted to. So no, to me, it's not worth any one person's job to ask people to wait longer to play a game.
Okay,
I understand using technology to our benefit. The problem is, how much do we lean on that technology? And Matt, this whole story, weren't there issues with how kind of sloppy the work was by the AI? Like, were there not issues with it?
Well, yeah, you have people who will sit down and say that it wasn't that DLSS 5 and what it was rendering wasn't, worth the effort or the aspect of what it's doing. So I think you have to look at it more than just, is it a tool somebody's using or is it a tool that's replacing somebody? Now, if you remember, there were some commercials back in the day. There was a woman trying to do her job in a factory, and this goes exactly what you were saying, Tricky, is that as technology replaces people, those people will have to find jobs and ways to adapt. And the example of the commercial back in the day was for like a technical school that a machine was replacing somebody. So what did the person do? They went and learned how to maintain the machine. Now they got a new job ahead of the curve. So yeah, it's going to happen. Technology is always going to replace people. I just think the problem, as I said, with AI is that it's really not just replacing people. It's being used to cut corners. It's sometimes not accurate. Yet CEOs and publishers are still using them to replace people because, well, I can just do this and not pay that salary or those bonuses. And it's really a problem. Now, I'll say here's where it's useful. You are an artist hired by Rockstar to make all of the pictures you're going to see in the buildings. And you go, all right, well, if I make these pictures, I can use AI to kind of like, alter them slightly or make them more, realistic or whatnot. It's that person using that tool. Because guess what? You're not just going to hire another artist when you're at that point in the game of the developing the game to now go in. All right, now you have to make, 2,000 pictures that get spread throughout the game. I could see it being used as a tool like that. The problem is developers and publishers going, well, why am I even going to hire an artist to do that? I'll use AI to make that and they'll spread it out the game. Now take that and extrapolate that to your t-shirt thing, Tricky. I understand. It's good artistry is expensive.
Well, I'm sorry, I don't want to cut you off there. It's not even that I wasn't willing to pay for the good artistry. I was going on to Fiverr and some other sites to the problem is trying to describe exactly what I want, and then have somebody render that or draw it, and then having to go back and forth saying, okay, this is correct, but this isn't correct. I was able to go in with the AI and go, this is what I want, boom, and it was done. And it was
we do this every week with Will.
Right. It's just it. Okay, so let me ask you, Alex. Was I wrong for using AI to make those images to make those shirts for us?
Well, I'm sure the graphic designers who you didn't hire were still employed as graphic designers. So, I mean, if you tried first and then leaned on AI because you couldn't find anybody, that's one thing. Here's an example of where this can really help in video games. You have a developer or developers working on a game and they've got a crunch. If AI can help those same developers avoid crunch with a project, that'd be great. But it can't replace that developer. It helps them avoid crunch. Like, that's an example, I think, where it could really help in the video game industry.
Dex says the answer is yes, Alex.
Not replace some what?
Dex says the answer is yes, Alex.
No, I mean, if you are in earnest tried to hire a graphic designer to do this, which you've done in the past, that's great. I mean, but if you couldn't make it work, I understand. Like, you can't wait years and years to find the perfect graphic designer, although Will probably could have helped you with that, let's be real.
I asked Will to make it. He wouldn't make it.
Okay, well, if you ask Will, then, if you exhausted your options, I understand. But again, those people who are graphic designers, they may miss out on one job, but they still are graphic designers. They're not being fired as a graphic designer for the sake of AI.
No, but if enough people do it, then those graphic designers won't have work to do, and then they will be out of work.
But the place I will defend you is your first option was to find a graphic designer.
Absolutely.
That was your first option. It was not AI.
Yes, and I actually got a lot of hell from Sweet Mama D because she's, she draws things. And when I showed her the image, the first thing she said was, did I use AI? And she stayed mad at me for like a month and a half because I used AI to do it. And then, once I explained to her that I tried to hire graphic artists and whatnot, then she kind of calmed down. But she was still mad at me because she's like, using AI is going to replace graphic artists. And that's what she wants to do for a living. She wants to be a graphic artist. And she's feeling really threatened by AI right now, which I understand. But the whole thing comes down to, and I don't want to keep, going around in circles. As technology as we make technology better, people unfortunately are going to lose their jobs. And yes, to Alex's point, is like, can we wait to play GTA? Can we wait to play the next Ghost game? Absolutely. I mean, that's a first world problem. There's no real tragedy if we have to wait to play these games. I'm just saying, as gamers, most of us are impatient. We can't wait for the next game. We can't wait for the next Metal Gear game. We can't wait for the next Uncharted game or Last of Us or whatever the case may be. If AI is able to help pump these games out faster to get them into our hands, I don't want people to lose their jobs. I want to be clear about that. But unfortunately, if we're going to keep pushing technology forward, people are going to lose their jobs. And that's just unfortunate.
Yeah, we understand that, but it's how much you lean into it. And do you lean into it to an unnecessary degree just to save money?
Well, okay.
Where it's not about pushing technology further, it's about saving money and still not passing that off to your customers.
But see, like you just used the phrase, I just lost the phrase. You just said, oh God, I just brain farted. Say what you said again, please.
I can't remember exactly what I just said moments ago.
Damn it. Okay. Basically, like, do we push it too far?
How much you lean into it?
Well, it's do we push it too far? And too far is subjective to the point of what's too far to me is not too far to you. So, like, it really comes down to how much AI we're using and what is the cause and effect of it. And that's really what it's going to be.
Yeah, tricky, but here's the thing. The AI is not being used for the betterment of video games. If AI is going to continue to creep and grow, it's going to be used to save money, to hire fewer people and use technology more. And that money, if these companies are saving money, do you think it's going to go to the developers? Actually, no, they're going to have fewer of them. Do you think it's going to go to their benefits? No, it's going to go to the CEOs and the people at the top. It's all about money. That's what this is.
Well, I mean, any business is about money. I mean, let's be real.
But yeah, but you can still have a good business and also maintain a good workforce and keep that workforce happy and put out good games. Those are not all, independent of each other. They can't all work together. But anyone who thinks the use of AI is about more than simply making money is foolish. It's all about saving money, which you and I will never see, which the developers and the people who work at the bottom of a company will never see.
But anything
It'll be like everything else in our society where the people at the top make all the money.
But any technology that gets invented is about saving money.
Which is, how do you lean into it, Tricky? That's the point. Is it's okay to use technology. How much do you lean into it?
Well, again, that's what I'm saying. That's subjective. It's like what is too far to me is not too far. Is way too far for you. That it's all subjective. And all right, we're going in circles here.
Yeah, it's time to move on. We've spent like 20 minutes on this subject, and we still got a couple of articles. And I'm not editing a 2.5 hour, 3 hour show.
You will, and you will like it.
Yeah. Guess what? It's gonna be the shittiest edit if you.
By the way, hi Dupes and Dex and Pinball, you guys are all in the chat. I just want to say hi to you guys.
All right. Next, we're gonna blast through the next two articles. First one is, we all know the story of Highguard and what's happening. Well, players are noting that they are getting a refund. Some players went to Reddit saying that they are getting a refund and that the studio is shutting down. So just be aware of that.
Wasn't it a free game?
Getting a refund. Huh?
Wasn't Highguard free?
No. Yes, but you could do in-game purchases.
So people are getting refunded their DLC stuff?
It seems to be the case. It's not like they have access to it anymore.
Good for them, then.
So it's nice that they're doing the right thing. Next is Slay the Spire 2, which came out in early access a couple weeks ago. Everybody knows early access means shit changes. Well, a large group of people didn't like a change that came out for a couple of the cards, and flooded Steam with 9,000 negative reviews on Slay the Spire 2. So
Helldivers 2 approach.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens. I don't think they're going to be bowing to that cause.
That's happened like 3 or 4 times now, where people have review bombed Helldivers on Steam when the community doesn't like something they do.
So the version 0.1 nerfed changes to Prepare, which is a card in the game. It does a couple different things for one of the characters, and people were unhappy with that. And they think, based off of the reviews, that a number of the reviews are coming from Chinese players. No real understanding why that is the case. Slay the Spire 2 does have a in-game type of, feedback mechanism, but it does go through Discord, which is blocked in China. So yeah, it's interesting that a game that's in early access is suddenly getting flooded with bad reviews just because people don't like a change that they made in an early access game.
Can we stop the stigma that like early access doesn't mean the game's live? People are still playing the game. Stop. I hate when they go, "Oh, it's in early access. It's not out yet." If people are playing it, the game's out.
Yes, but also early access means that there's going to be significant changes. But also, in today's world, I've said it time and time again, if you're connected to the internet, there's going to be changes to your game, whether you're in 1.0 or 0.1.
Then why did they even open up reviews for a game that's not officially out then?
Because people can still spend money on it, and to me, that's valuable. If I'm going to buy into a thing, I want to know what other people are saying about it.
Then go read the internet. Don't open reviews on a game that's not 1.0. Go bitch on forums. Go bitch on IGN. Go bitch on whatever website you want. don't open the reviews on the storefront.
It's funny that you mentioned that.
Oh, here we go.
Because in our next story of the week, as we talked about, Crimson Desert has come out, and there's a group of people who are happy with it, and a lot of people who are unhappy with it. And one group that is unhappy with it, and rightfully so in my perspective, basically, most people know that in the PC world, there's the king of graphics card, Nvidia. Then there is AMD's Radeons, which are good. But what you may not know is Intel, in the last couple of years, came out with their own Arc series of GPUs. Well, unfortunately, and there was no notice about this beforehand, was that Crimson Desert does not run on Intel Arc GPUs. Players who bought it and were loading up the game were met by an unexpected, this game is not supported on your platform. Basically, please come back later. So now what's happening is Intel came out and said, hey, this isn't our fault. We reached out to Pearl Abyss with, offerings of tools and engineers, as well as, techs needed to make it run, and we got nothing. So it seems like Pearl Abyss may have been ignoring Intel. Then you also have that a lot of people, and I mentioned it earlier, and I agree that the controls are kind of meh. There's some weird button combos that you have to do certain moves, as well as, you're using, if you're on your horse or running, you have to constantly tap A. If you are not tapping, A on an Xbox controller, X on a PlayStation controller. If you're not tapping that, your horse moves at basically a crawl pace.
Yes.
It means you're not moving very fast, which is annoying. So the problem was that Crimson Desert launched without the ability to map controls, at least on the joysticks, on controllers. So the dev promised that they're going to immediately look into that, and a lot of people are upset because they were telling them a year ago during the demo saying these controls are ass. You need to do something with them. And then finally, you have an anonymous Pearl Abyss insider claiming that there was, a culture of just everything is being added to the game. Nobody was saying, don't add this. That the game direction was just like, oh yeah, put everything in. And unfortunately, that led to some kind of subpar features in parts of the game or different aspects of the game. And that's one thing that some reviewers pointed out, is that they said the game is a jack of all trades, master of none, that the game, does all these things, but to no great effect. And no more kind of pointed out in the IGN review, who the reviewer gave the game a 6 out of 10, but only with a big asterisk saying that they've spent 110 hours in the game, and that is their review so far, that they aren't willing to give a final score until they do more. And I posted into our Facebook group, saying, what do you guys think? Because this same reviewer gave Highguard a 7, as well as, I don't remember if it was the same reviewer, but another person in IGN gave Concord a 7.
Same reviewer.
It was the same reviewer? Okay.
Yep.
So a number of you had comments talking about that, and, Joe Priestley came out and said he heard this game's a complete mess. James says he's 4 hours in and loving it. Dupes came in, said he's experienced a highly ambitious game that tried to give you a little bit of everything and got only a little right so far. Dex is saying Concord was a 10 out of 100. Yes, Dex, I agree. Thomas was saying that he doesn't trust anything IGN says, but he's enjoying Crimson Desert very well. And then Curtis saying he doesn't trust critics anymore, especially not IGN. So I read through the review. I hear what the reviewer's saying. This kind of goes back to what me and Alex were talking about the other week, was that the scores are kind of useless these days. Scores can be highly subjective. What I care about is what did the reviewer do? How are they playing it? Tricky, you talked about this last week, that sometimes it has to be a specific person playing it to maybe get the full effect of it. But all of this is to say that Crimson Desert is being reviewed in a mixed bag. Some people are already calling it game of the year. Some people are saying this is the year's worst game of the year. So I don't know. All of this speaks to me to say that it just seems like maybe the developer had a lot more things going that were behind the scenes. Now there's claims of, AI art being in the game, and they said, listen, it was just a few things to tidy up in the end. I don't know. I'm enjoying the game. Tricky, I know you said you started it, so you don't have a solid opinion now because you haven't played it yet. What does all of this speak to you? Like, what are you thinking anything like maybe this game is doomed for further updates? It's certainly not going to shut down Black Desert Online. I could tell you that much. Developers doing fine on that end.
What did IGN give Crimson Desert?
So far, a 6 out of 10.
Okay, so I'm looking on Metacritic right now, and they don't have a score for the PS5 or the Xbox yet. It's still to be determined because right now they only have one critic review for the 5 version. But based on 102 critic reviews for the PC, it's scoring a 78 right now.
Which is 7.8 out of 10, and
right.
Is it? This goes back to me saying 6 should not be a bad score. 6 is not. It is better than average if you're on the true scale. But we all know people don't listen to that scale. Anything 6 or lower is trash, according to gamers these days. Right. But I look at it and say my issue is he's giving this a 6 and Highguard and Concord, games which by all means failed spectacularly, a higher score. So,
but
I don't know, that's kind of where I'm confused.
See, okay, well, in the chat, Dex says Concord was a 10. So, what I will say is, yes, Concord and Highguard failed horribly critically, but I never played either one of them. But were they decent games that just didn't catch on, or were they just horrible and that's why they didn't catch on?
If you talk to people who played Highguard, they said that it had the bones of a good game, but that it was just too much of a lack of direction.
Okay, that's fair. But we talked about this last week with scores and all that stuff. And Matt, you were like, when you want somebody to review the game, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm but you said when you see somebody review a game, you want to know, does it function properly? Does it do what it's supposed to do? And from what I understand, for all the hate Concord got, it functioned fine. The complaints were the character models, the fact that it was another 5v5, stuff like that. But I heard the game actually functioned and played well. It just didn't catch on. So going back, and I'm not defending this reviewer at all because I don't even know the guy's name. The argument can be made that these games functioned properly, and that's why they got the scores they did. To criticize this guy for saying, okay, you gave Concord and the Highguard these scores, but you gave Crimson Desert this score, I don't think it's a fair comparison. Now, I haven't reread the reviews for any of the 3 games that this guy did, nor do I really care. I'm just saying, on the surface, if you're going to criticize the guy because you gave 2 games that failed critically, bad score, or decent score, or higher score than Crimson Desert, which we all feel like, Alex, you haven't played it yet. Matt, you played it. I don't think any of us feel like Crimson Desert's just going to get shut down or delisted or anything like that. It's still going to go on. So I can't criticize this guy for doing that, but I also can't defend the guy for the scores because we don't know. And I still stand by what I said last week. It really depends on the person that reviews it. Like, is this type of game in their wheelhouse? I wouldn't send me to go review a first-person shooter, and I'm not going to send Alex to go review a Metal Gear game. You have to be in a fan of that genre to play the game, but you also can't be a super fan because then
No.
I think you're gonna you're gonna hype it up a little bit more.
No.
Just
You
no.
don't have to be a fan. You don't have to be a fan of that genre, that franchise. I'm sorry, no. It is your job. You should be able to be more than a fan or dislike a game. Like if I'm getting paid to do game reviews, I should be able to look at Metal Gear Solid with a fair eye.
Absolutely. But okay.
But if you just get people who enjoy those games, that's gonna, push their review one way or the other. They may be super critical because they typically like something about this game series or this game style that they don't see. So maybe they are harsher, or they love the game series, so they want to be favorable to it. No, that is maybe that's the way it works. Shouldn't be that way though.
Okay, but let's use me for example, okay? I don't play first-person shooters. One of the major gripes I have with them is I need to be able to see my character, because if I'm in a firefight with somebody, I want to be able to dodge, and I don't want to fall off a cliff or fall off a building or whatever, not because I didn't see that I was close to the edge. So, my argument is simply this. You don't send me to go review Call of Duty because I'm going to struggle to play that game. And if my struggles are going to make it harder for me to play the game, then, to Matt's point, I can't subjectively say that the game is operating the way it's supposed to, because I can't operate that game in a way that's going to be able for me to say, yes, it functions properly. Yes, the dodge is the perfect. The shooting down the sights is accurate. The bullet drop off is accurate. I'm not going to be able to accurately say this game is functioning well. That's my point of saying that you don't send me to go review a Call of Duty game or a first-person shooter. That's my point.
It sounds like I don't send you to review any game, because if you say I can't review any first-person game, you need to find a new line of work. You don't need to be a game reviewer.
Okay, Matt.
Yep.
Where do you fall on this?
So, let's say it's a world where, Tricky and Alex are in a certain line of work with a certain type of clientele. And you go, I will only work with this type of clientele based off of their looks. This is where I go, well, like Alex, you need to find a new line of work. If you're into reviewing games, you can have your specialties, certainly. But I think you need to be prepared to review any game. And like you said, and I said frequently, does the game function? Does it do the things that it's supposed to do as a game? So, I don't know.
Here's the thing. I only get to bottom of this because Tricky pre-ordered Crimson Desert.
I did.
And in our text messages, Tricky, it seemed like after the IGN review was posted, you canceled your pre-order. Or were you just joking?
I was just joking.
Okay.
I was never going to cancel because of a review.
Just want to make sure.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I said this to Matt, privately, but I thought everybody knew I was joking around.
Intent is hard to tell. Yeah, if you know somebody, you can sometimes get a read, but intent is hard to tell through messages. So I just wanted to clear that up.
No, I never canceled my pre-order.
And I will say, here's the thing. Like you and I, a review is very rarely going to change that aspect of whether we're going to be getting a game or not. It's we see the game previews, we like what we're seeing, we're going to grab it regardless. If I buy a game, I bought No Man's Sky, and the reviews show that it was probably a stupid buy. And then here we are years later, and they made good on it. Yeah, it depends overall what, the reviewer really does like. But like Alex said, I agree with him. A reviewer needs to be able to review any game. Does it function? Does it do the things it wants? Listen, I'm certain people who are playing Barbie's Horse Simulator aren't fans of that game, but they have to sit down and review it. They have to.
Well, and given that I'm assuming that writing stats these days are cut pretty small, to have someone say, "Yeah, sorry guys, I can't do first person games at all because my view's obstructed in some way," you have just now lost part of your small workforce with the amount of games that come out, and they say they can't cover a third or however many, games are first person, 25%, whatever, 20%, I don't know, but a very large swath of games that person cannot cover. And again, like, you just can't hire that person.
I mean, all right. I don't want to keep going in circles with this. I'm just trying to simply say that if you, no matter your line of work, you're gonna specialize in something, and you don't send somebody else to do it. Like you wouldn't send
in their line of work. Doctors go to school for specific
right, but
things,
you wouldn't
But
send a pediatrician to go
if you're going to school to be a writer. Like, yes, you may cover some, you may go into sports writing or something like that, but video games as a whole, you don't go to school to be a video game third-person, shooter reviewer.
No, but you go to review video games. But on the same token, you go and if I functionally cannot play a first-person shooter, you
don't need to review games. You should not be hired. It's that simple.
I disagree. I
You disagree that you should be able to write about video games when you can't cover first-person games?
If I can cover every other type of game except for first-person shooters, you're telling me that I'm not, quote unquote, not allowed in that field because I can't review a certain style of game?
No, it's not that you can't. You just literally refuse to, Tricky.
No, I will review a Call of Duty, but my review is going to reflect the fact that I can't speak to the fact of did the game function properly because I can't control it properly. I'll review Call of Duty all day long. I'll review Borderlands or whatever. But my review is going to reflect the fact that I can't tell you whether or not the guns are firing accurately or, the whatever. Because I can't control the game in a way that's going to be accurately tell you, yes, this gun is working. Yes, this gun is broken. This gun is OP, whatever the case may be. Because I can't function properly in the game. Now, you give me The Last of Us, Uncharted, Horizon, games that are in my wheelhouse that I can control, and I know how to play those games in the fact of I can tell you the climate is good in this game. The slide's good in this game. The bow and arrow fires properly in this game. That's something I can speak to.
Okay, Tricky. If I'm a cardiologist and I do open heart surgery and I say, well, I can't do open heart surgery on a person who has this condition, this health condition.
Then you should be a cardiologist.
Exactly my point. If you're a video game reviewer and you say, I can't review this video game because I can't play first person, you should not be a video game reviewer. You just made my point for me.
No, you're going off. You're basically saying like a cardiologist should not be a cardiologist because they can't be a pediatrician. That's your argument.
No, it's not, Tricky. If you literally cannot review such a large section of games, then you do not need to be a video game reviewer. You cannot review first-person games. What are you doing? Why are you not doing something else? Go shake fries at McDonald's, Tricky.
Oh.
Go be a lawyer. Like, Matt, I feel like I'm crazy here talking to him. This podcast needs to be called Go In Circles. He's driving me insane.
Yeah, well, so guess what? We are going in circles, and I'm going to cut this off here because we're doing this too much tonight. And
it's good. It's good conversation, though.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's infuriating conversation.
All right. So that's the end of our news articles this week. But we also have listener questions.
Time to check my social media. Yeah.
So we only had 2 real questions. I will say Yield did write in, I think, on the wrong thread. Because I did talk about Crimson Desert drama, but he did say when you play a game like Crimson Desert, 12 hours in is just getting out of the tutorial. You haven't even played the game. Some of these reviewers are not reviewing it under 12 hours, but they do feel rushed. Curtis,
the IGN guy say he played it for over 100 hours.
110, yeah.
Yeah, that's not 12 hours.
From the coverage he's seen, Curtis says, how bad does it play? Because he was on the fence, but hearing and seeing the obstructive controls has me saying nope. I will say, Curtis, no, it plays fine. The controls do what you want them to do. It's just sometimes they're overly complex. Like you have to do certain button combos. I'm like, well, if you're trying to do something quickly, it's not going to work that way. But hopefully with the remapping, they'll be able to handle something sometime soon. And then Will just asked, how much do you love the DLSS 5 and which game we'd be applying it to first? And he showed a picture of Mario Tennis where Mario looks like Mario in the first picture with DLSS off. And in the second picture, looks like a higher res version of Mario. And I don't mean that in a good way.
I'd play that version of Mario, though.
So, Tricky, what do you think about the controls thus far?
I can't speak to it. The only thing I don't like is, but this is the same thing I've had with, like lately, like with the Assassin's Creed games. I hate the fact that they put the normal blow and heavy blow on R1 and L or R1 and R2. Like those attack buttons should not be on shoulder buttons. Put them on the
FromSoft has been doing it for years.
That's so aggravating to me. But the only thing that I have a problem with is, like you talked about, like with the horse, you got to keep tapping X to keep going. There's certain aspects of a game that, depending on the developer, they change up the controls. I personally have not had a problem with the controls, but also I've only done the open and fight, so I can't really speak to it. I haven't fought something that is, going to take some strategy behind it so far, so I can't speak to that. Maybe I'll be able to speak more to it next week. But right now, I don't have a problem with the controls, but that's not to say that there isn't a problem with the controls on the PS5.
Okay. All right, and now we talk about our topic of the week.
Hold on. I keep forgetting what button to press.
Tick tock, tick tock.
Toe. Topic of the week. Well, fine then. Fuck you, Matt.
Thank you, Alex. I always appreciate hearing that every week.
Brings my heart great joy.
Do you want me to take that part off?
No, I literally love it. It's actually very funny.
Yeah, you'll play the Lion King shit every time, but me doing my old toe thing, you're like, should I take that off?
Coming from PC Gamer, written by Jeremy Peel, Ubisoft, what was it, Ubisoft? An Assassin's Creed and Far Cry director says, we redo too much stuff. That asset reuse in video games is essential. This takes us kind of back to the cutting corners aspect. And this article kind of goes into the concept of, do you guys ever watch Grandma's Boy, the video game based developer movie?
Great movie.
And there's a scene there where it's like, well, we're over budget, we don't have enough time left for this. And they said, well, what you do is you take these enemies, you recolor them, give them a different move set, and you move them to a different level at a higher thing. It's like, yeah, perfect. That'll save us time and effort. Well, that's an asset reuse. That's you already have something and you're remolding it to make something else and save time and effort elsewhere in the development cycle. So this was specifically calling out Far Cry Primal, which, was the prehistoric version of the Far Cry series. And they were talking about how there were saber-toothed cats and club-wielding tribesmen, and then as players were going throughout the game, they started seeing the same enemy types everywhere else in the game. And that was just, one of them. Activision released Call of Duty, and fans picked up on that the opening mimicked the motions of Modern Warfare 2's endings, reusing a highly specific set of animations. And that developers are again doing this to kind of like cut corners, but maybe save time and effort in their game development cycle. Now, this is like not the AI thing where they're using it to reduce their workload, but they're strategically taking certain things like animations, art, move sets, and applying them in different ways throughout the game. You know, take a game like Gears of War. You literally have like 5 different enemy types. And that's what you see throughout the most of the game. Here, it's developers are creatively taking their assets and using them in ways that help reduce the workload. So the question I have to you guys is, do you see this as okay? Is this something that needs to be, you know, monitored, or should they even try avoiding this, saying, well, this is getting too close to that AI use case where now they're developing they're cutting corners to make their lives, you know, easier, or maybe eliminate jobs because they don't have to hire somebody to make a new enemy type.
Well, you
maybe
know,
I'm
Matt.
going in circles.
Well, you know, Matt, if it helps the game come out faster, isn't it worth it?
Wow. Tricky comment.
Good point, Tricky.
My first thought was we've been doing this since Mario Brothers. I mean, the bushes were literally the clouds. So, like, if you can use something and make it unique enough, I don't see a problem with it. Now, if you're seeing the problem where you're constantly seeing the same enemy type and they attack and whatnot, yeah, that could be a problem. I mean, look back at Assassin's Creed 2. A lot of people were criticizing the combat because it was literally just dodge and attack, dodge and attack, dodge and attack the entire game. But a lot of people would tell you Assassin's Creed 2 was probably the best game in the entire franchise. So, like, where do you want to draw the line? Is what I'm saying. If you can create an enemy and change it enough where it's a little bit unique, but yes, they're basically using the same model, I don't have a problem with it. Like, I played the Division, and I there's 3 factions in the game. Just, you got the Outcasts, the Hyenas, and the True Sons, and they introduced a 4th faction, the Black Tusk, and there's a 5th faction in the game that they never even named. It's but a lot of people speculate it's the faction from the books. Like, they all attack different ways, but, like, essentially the Outcasts are basically the cleaners from the first game. They use fire, they move the same, they use the same motions. Like, I don't have a problem with that because they're unique enough where it doesn't feel like I'm fighting the same faction over and over again, but it's also okay. Like, you're not going to get 15 different types of enemies in a game with every game. You're going to have some kind of similarities between things and whatnot. Like, when you go through Uncharted, we've all played Uncharted. When you go through Uncharted, do you want different enemies to fire their guns differently, or are you expecting a human enemy to fire a gun back at you? Like,
Well, I mean, I remember that Heavenly Sword, which is one of those games I've kind of always wanted to play, but just never gotten around to it.
same.
One of the criticisms of that game, besides it being too short, was there just weren't enough enemy types. So, like, if you look back at something like classic Mega Man, NES Mega Man, yeah, you have different versions of Mets, and they have different plays on different enemies, but there are a lot of enemies in that game. Like, there's a good amount of enemies in, like, any of those games, you know, specific enemies to specific levels. So if they can do it in, like, a Mega Man game on the NES, people could do it now to where you have more enemy variety. Because let's be real, getting to fight the same enemies over and over again gets old. It gets stale. And you, at some point, like, figuring out how to defeat an enemy is, like, part of the game, part of the puzzle. But if you just see the same 5 enemies the entire time, you figure that out pretty early. So I will say, I don't know why we're calling out Far Cry Primal for that. How old is that game? Donnie was still on the podcast when that game came out.
I'll look it up and see when it came out.
But yeah, I don't know why we're going back and, like, critiquing Far Cry Primal. Like, that just seems like if we have an example in a newer game, that's one thing, but that game is it's older.
2016.
Yeah, like we're going to 10 years ago.
There's a commenter in the article that says, well, if they're allowed to reuse assets, then should let me reuse 20 of the $60 I paid for the previous game and buying the new one. Listen, it's because players feel that if they're paying for these high-priced games, that they feel that's owed to them to have like a completely original thing. I don't know. To me, it's a tough thing to justify from the consumer aspect. It's like, listen, they're going to make a game the way that they're going to make the game. And I know we were just talking about the AI aspect. As long as people aren't losing jobs, it's a thing. I mean, look at some of the bosses. Playing Elden Ring, I faced like the same type of boss 3 different times. I'm like, okay, can I get a different boss at this point? And sure enough, they're out there. Here in Crimson Desert, I faced like the same 5 bandits 20 times already in the game. It's like I expect more later in the game. So maybe it's just an area thing. Maybe it's something that is just specific to one spot. But all things said and done, I'm okay with asset reuse as long as it isn't asset theft. There's plenty of games out there that buy like an Unreal Engine pack and they go make a game and they just throw assets in there without doing any sort of modification, any sort of variation that make it and separate it from what its base level was. That's where I take issue. But if the developer's making the game, they develop the assets, they can use those assets any ways that they want to develop the game that they want. At least that's how I'm seeing it.
Another comment in the article I liked says, A, don't try and trick your customers. B, some customers need a dose of reality about game productions. Corners are cut so games are actually get released and or a decent length. It's a good point.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Alrighty. Wow, I think that took up less time than some of those other conversations. Maybe we should have made those other ones the topic of the week.
Maybe.
Alrighty. Tricky, back to you.
All right, let's close out the show with my annoyed co-host, Alex. You shout out, sir.
I want to give a shout out to the listeners, the fans, the fuel to the fire. There's Trophy Horse. Thank you all for your continued support, pushing us forward here in the year 2026. We appreciate you all so very much because it's really this train doesn't roll without its engine, and you guys are the engine. Give a shout out to my co-host, Tricky, Matt, and Yield. And last but not least, give a shout out to my awesome and loving girlfriend, Ashley. I love you, hon. And yeah, that is going to be the end.
Matt, your shout outs.
Shout out to you, gents, for recording. Shout out to Yield, living the best life. Shout out to Will for his artwork. Shout out to our community. Shout out to the Channel 3 community. Make sure to go to channel3.gg to gamify your social media. And shout out to my wife, V. Thank you for everything that you do.
And I want to give a shout out to my co-host and shout out to everybody listening to the show. Just a heads up, I might not be here next week. I'm taking Sweet Mama D down to Great Adventure to have her experience her first roller coasters. So I don't know that I'll be back in time. So there's a possibility I won't be back next week. So with that being said, if
those roller coasters are run by people and not AI.
If there's nothing else, until next week, happy trophy hunting.
Later.
The theme song is Venus by the band Even off their album Zenith. Permission granted by the band and 12 Stone Records. You can find them on Facebook by going to www.facebook.com/evenphilippines.